Right, I've been meaning to do this for ages, but I've never got round to it, and now I need to because I've decided to get rid of it. This is my Bugeye WRX wagon, rear wheel drive converted drift car.
All my fans say fuck you in the fan mail, cause I had they main girl on a handheld. I go to the store, they try to pop my fan bell, then I body them in the street like cornbread Earl. Boy, I'm that thorough, I'm like a pit bull. Windex in the pen to make it crystal. 170, but in rap, I'm a big dude. So yeah, I got bars like a gym room. Boy, I'm that dirty, so tell a rap jury that tennis, the only way a nigga gon' serve me.
Basically, I bought this with the rear wheel drive conversion already done, which is basically welding the centre diff, removing the front shafts, and you know, that's about it. It had coilovers on it already and a welded rear diff, and that's about it. Actually, it had some 2.5 inch aftermarket exhaust, but nothing much else, and it was a fucking mess. It had a damaged wing, it handled like shit. It was crap really, but the base for a decent car was there. It had 18-inch wheels on the front and 17s on the back, and yeah, it was just a fucking mess, but I could see the potential, so I bought it and decided to sort it out. The main problem, which is the thing everyone talks about on these, is once you convert into rear wheel drive, the drive shafts constantly snap. And that is true. Well, I found that at the beginning. Literally, practically every time I did any kind of drifting in it, burnouts, whatever, it would snap a shaft. But I basically found a solution to that without having to go to an expensive R180 rear end, and overall sorted out pretty good. The main thing to sort out as well is the handling on these. Because the standard, just converting them to rear wheel drive, don't make them a good car. In fact, it makes it fucking rubbish. Handling's terrible. Under the bonnet is nothing special. It is a standard WRX 2 litre, standard turbo, standard injectors. I fit a front mount intercooler. I changed the exhaust to a full 3-inch one. Changed the turbo inlet pipe and induction kit, built a oil breather system and remapped it, which I did myself using the Carberry setup with the Tactics ECU, Tactrix, whatever it's called. I used inlet plenum spacers as well, and a few other bits and pieces, nothing much. Probably was making 260 brake, 270, I don't know. The front brakes are STI ones, and it's got spacers because it's got modified steering locks, so it's got loads and loads of lock, more than you'll ever need. I rotated the top mounts 45 degrees, swapped over and rotated, so now it gives a lot more caster than standard. I added white line bump steer correction kit because the car suffered with quite bad bump steer like Subarus do, and anti-lift kit, which also increases the caster again. So now finally, with all that fitted, the car handled fucking brilliant. Really did handle as well as any well sorted rear wheel drive drift car that I've had in the past. And these things normally handle like shit, basically. They are not good rear wheel drive with a standard geometry. What I did to fix the fact that the drive shafts are breaking all the time was basically this wheel hop. It breaks it. You can feel it when they break. You can feel the back shudder when it wheel hops, axle tramps, whatever you want to call it, and it breaks the fucking shaft. So I got fitted, I didn't do it because it's a horrible job, but but I got my friend to fit the whole rear end with Powerflex black rated bushes, the stiffest ones they do, and including the rear diff mount, subframe mount, basically every bush in the back, and it basically almost totally eliminated wheel hop. And ever since then it only broke one shaft, and that was after like a whole day's drifting on track, and it broke one shaft. That's nothing, no big deal. You can change them in about half an hour anyway, whereas usually these things are breaking shafts 24/7. But yeah, one shaft, even with clutch kicking the shit out of it all day on track, going really hard.
Bernie, I even Max Siri. Shit, I'm killing the mic like Conrad Murray. Get your weight up, boy, you want hustle with it. Even my protein bars got muscle in it. Pop my trunk, pop yours, nothing in it. I'm cool, so hold up. Wait a minute, let's go.
Let's ride, you niggas know I'm hot. They tryna take my spot.
Looks I'm loaded, about ready to spit a verse. On haters I unloaded, be ready to get his hearse. I'm about to serve him notice, if Harlem don't get him first, send him down to unemployment, cause homie gon' get this work. Hot bins, every honey gets top 10. If she hops in, then more than likely we not friends. Look, I'm locked in, hit you like Skelly, your top spin. First I pop, then I'm out like Pirelli's on stock rims. Flies in the game, still applying the pain. Since Milk was top billing and Light was riding the train. These paper thin villains get scraped and thrown in the plane. 85% of rappers is fake and so is they chain. Now that's a no-brainer, 36 in my chamber. Now I'm moment of silence, I throw a L up a banger. Lyrics is not a singer, don't ever forget it's gangsta. Ladies,
Another thing I did was change the diff ratio from the standard 3.54 to a 4.4 from a, I'm not sure, some kind of Legacy I think, and obviously welded that diff. And the difference that makes to performance is massive. It feels like a completely different car with the different diff ratio. Far faster, far more responsive, far more fun. It's just a weapon with that fitted. Front wings are the wider saloon ones rather than the normal flat wagon ones, which helps with running a wider track and wider wheels and more lock basically. Car bodywork wise is alright, nothing special. Bonnet's a little bit dented, but it's fine. Front bumper is cut for the front mount. That's a tow hook because you can't really get to the standard one with the front mount fitted. Inside we've got a pair of motor drive FIA approved bucket seats on custom rails. Well, actually I think they're made for Subarus. Got a snap off steering wheel, which isn't in the car but it's a nice one. That's a snap off Boss. Sit in the car. Got the all important gauges, which is AFR, boost and oil temp. It's got a turbo timer too, but I don't know why it's got that. It was there when I bought the car, but it's shit really. Probably the most important button for me is that rear demister button, because using the Carberry software and hardware and whatever, you can completely remap these just like they do on the Group N rally cars, which means you can add anti-lag and launch control and so on, which I did, and I added it using this switch as the on-off. But basically, rather than the usual crappy pops and bangs like most people do, mine I made proper anti-lag. I had the throttle kicked open, I think it was 9%, ignition retard, maximum, I think it was like 30 degrees. And yeah, as a weapon I could see 10 psi boost just by blipping the throttle in neutral and leaving your feet off the pedals. And it comes on boost, 5 psi. That's no feet on the pedals. 10 psi, no feet on the pedals. Back off again. If you did that coming off throttle while, you know, driving it, so you're on the overrun, I could see 14-15 psi boost totally off throttle, slowing down for a corner. With the launch control, obviously you can see full boost at a standstill with your foot on the throttle.
Fucking hell.
Even zero throttle you could see 10 psi boost. It was proper fucking anti-lag, and it was a weapon. The rest of the interior is stripped. Carpet in this, but generally stripped, which means you can hold a shitload of wheels and tyres. I think I held 12 in here in one go. Drove to a drift day with 12 in there. I also saved about 130 kilos by stripping all this out, because there's wood in the back of these as standard, all sorts. Body wise, it's actually pretty solid. The rear strut tops are normally the worst, but this one was actually bad, and as you can see, not too pretty, but we cut out all the rust and welded in new metal. Smaller repair on that one, but that one had a big fucking repair, a few. So yeah, the car, while it ain't exactly pretty, is totally solid. The back, I just de-wipered it. Obviously no more badges. It's got the optional spoiler, which looks pretty good. This is the back strip, but this is the reason I've not been driving it for a while, because that is a conrod and that is part of the block. Basically, I knew I was always on borrowed time with the standard internals, because it's just a standard WRX engine, and I was using it pretty fucking hard, and it had, well, high miles. I think I had over 100,000 on it, 115 maybe, but it's fine. It never burnt any oil. It was great. Unfortunately, the anti-lag, full boost at like no RPM, practically idle, gives way too much torque. And after a lot of messing about with the anti-lag one day, just showing off and pissing about in the video with mates, 18 psi boost at 2000 RPM means a hell of a lot more torque than the standard rods can take. And it looks like it chucked a rod bolt by the looks of it. It looks like the rod bolt came out rather than it broke the rod itself. And it went clean through the block. And since then, I've done very little to the car, to be honest. I've got a lot of parts ready, but I've not actually done anything to the car. The engine is still exactly as it was after it blew up, all complete under the bonnet, just with a hole in the block. Turbo and everything's still on. And yeah, it's just sat. And as much as I love this car, I ain't got time at the moment. I've just got too much stuff and too little space. So I need to get rid of it, really. So yeah, this is a bit of a look around and explanation of how to make these decent handling rear-wheel drive cars. And you can't go drifting unless you got some spare drift wheels, and I got loads for these. I've got a set of 4 Oz Super Turismos 17s, set of 4 gold WRX wheels, a set of 4 whatever the hell these are, GTBR something or others, but again 17s. I've got 2 more STI wheels to make a set of 4 that goes with this 2 that's on the car already, and another 2 spare of the WRX wheels that are on the back of that car. If someone bought the car, they could have both sets of them with the car for no extra charge, and that's another set of WRX wheels as well. So I've got lots, basically 4, 8, about 20 wheels here with tyres. Nearly all the tyres are good, some are dead but not many. This is 2005, I think, maybe 2006, I can't remember, a late 2 litre WRX engine. I wanted a later one because they've got the no shims on top of the valves, which means with things like anti-lag and rev limiters and whatever, you're not going to pop a shim off and knacker the engine up. So I wanted this mostly for the heads, but obviously the block as well. This engine is somebody who had a real mint late WRX and it started knocking a little bit, so obviously needed bearings, and he drove it like the 1 mile home from when it started knocking, and obviously swapped the engine out and put a built one in. It's actually a really good engine. Like, the exhaust ports are dry, it's not all oily and shit. The engine actually looks really clean. I was going to run ported standard manifolds because I only wanted 350, 400 brake, and that's plenty with these. But yeah, it's still complete because I've not actually done anything to it. But it's not even got high miles, this thing. But obviously it was knocking, but it's perfect to use as a base for the build. This is another interesting bit I bought for the car. Imported it from America, and it's what is, in my opinion, the best inlet manifold you can get for an EJ20. It's actually a standard part from a late model legacy of some sort, I can't remember which, but it's basically a bigger plenum, equal flow runners, unlike the standard one, which is way more important on turbo cars than most people give credit for. It's got no TVIS as standard. The engine that's in the car at the moment, I deleted the TVIS setup, but this comes without it already. To make it work with the standard WRX throttle and fuel rails, you need an adapter plate for the throttle body and some adapters on the rails, but I also imported both of them. Right, this is all the parts I've bought so far to build the Impreza new engine, with the aim of about 350 brake, really fast spool, loads of torque, and to take the abuse that I'm going to give it. This is actually was a complete Impreza P1 EJ207 or STI, what's it, STI 5 or STI 6, come with the same engine. I bought this off a guy that owned a P1, and I took it out for a new closed deck engine to go for really big power. He was actually running about 400 brake on this, he said, and he used it as a track car, and it was really good nick when he took it out, but he wanted a closed deck rebuild for over 500, so I bought it off him as a complete bottom end. I dismantled it all to basically check it all over and fit some rated parts, and to be fair, it's really good. The bearings have no wear on them. There's still cross hatching on the balls. The pistons are, I've not even cleaned them up, but they are pretty bloody good nick for how it is. The crank is perfect, and yeah, all good. I wasn't really planning to do anything to these parts because the standard pistons are supposedly more than capable, and he was running them over 400, and I think it said 405, and I wasn't even going to go that far. He was using standard rods, but I was going to use better ones, rated ones. Obviously the standard crank is bang on. I think the STI cranks like this are better than the originals, better oil in holes, I think, I can't remember, but they are better. And like I said, the actual block is fine, absolutely fine. What that means, I couldn't tell you. It says part number RMP, part number RIMP 308, unit reference SM 536-34W. The guy reckoned it had a relatively recent brand new block from Subaru, which is probably what this is, some kind of rebuild thing, but I have no idea. But either way, the cross hatching in the bores are still there. It's got no lips or wear. It's actually bang on. So all of this is definitely pretty fresh. So now I'll show you all the bits I've got to go with it. Right, as well as the base P1 EJ207 engine I bought various bits to uprate it to make it as powerful and reliable as I expected it to be and wanted it to be. So I've got Cosworth multi-layer steel head gaskets. I've got this Roger Clark Motorsport sump baffle kit, which goes in the standard sump and uses these flaps for oil control. To be honest, I didn't have any trouble with oiling issues when drifting the car before anyway, but it makes sense when building a proper engine to take care of that just in case. ARP head stud kit, which again just makes sense when you build an engine like this. Be stupid not to while it's apart. Uprated con rods, which while they're only fairly cheap ones, blatantly Chinese, they are still damn strong. They got proper ARP rod bolts, and there's no way they would fail the kind of level I'm after, which was going to be 350 sub 400 brake anyway. Just a lot of use. You know, these are good rods. Just because they haven't got a fancy name, they are blatantly good enough for more power than I was going to be going for. These are the parts I got from Radium Engineering in America to run that inlet manifold I've shown you already, which is the fuel rail adapters, EGR block off plate, and that is the throttle body adapter. So with that you can run all the normal WRX stuff, but with that much better inlet manifold, which in my opinion is a massive improvement for a tuned car. And they're not even that much money, but you'd like to have to get one from America because they're certainly not common in the UK. I'm not even sure if the vehicles they come off is around in the UK, but you can get them in America, so that's what I did. That's the steering wheel that comes with the car. I didn't show you earlier because they weren't in the car, but it's a removable one. Quite small, really comfy, really good steering wheel for the money, to be fair. Sort of Alcantara suede finish. This lot is basically a full Impreza engine rebuild kit. So you've got the grey sealant gunk they use, full cam belt kit and tensioners, uprated oil pump, all the gaskets, basically everything. But yeah, that's including is it the 11mm uprated oil pump? Either way, the uprated oil pump from the later engines, and all the gaskets and seals and cam belt and tensioners and all that crap you need. So yeah, full comprehensive and bloody expensive rebuild kit. For the turbo setup, because I was going to go for a sub 400 brake, I wanted a standard position turbo, but all the ones you see at the moment generally are a bit crap in my opinion. They're either really overpriced or just a bit rubbish. But you know me with turbos hopefully, and I know them quite well. So I knew that the Wholeset HE221W, which is basically in my opinion the best small frame turbo for 380 brake or less, is completely interchangeable with a Mitsubishi TD04 HL, the larger one, turbine housing. So while the Impreza normally comes with TD04L, I bought this aftermarket TD04 HL housing, and I've tried it already, and that bolts straight on to a Wholeset HE221, which basically allows you to run the 380 brake capable HE221, which has got anti-surge housing and all the fancy stuff, straight onto a standard Subaru manifold. That's the gaskets, and that is a Samco inlet pipe, which is 3" I think, which is the same size as the HE221 inlet. So yeah, it was going to be standard position stuff, but awesome. This is white line uprated rear anti-bolt roll bar mounts, CDF Racing billet end links, and the thickest white line rear anti-roll bar that you can get. Basically these are more things which help prevent axle tramp, wheel hop, whatever you want to call it, on Imprezas, which is basically what you want to keep your shafts alive, because like I said, it's not the fact they're weak, it's the fact that these things suffer with terrible wheel hop and axle tramp. So all of these would have done a great job of helping prevent it even more. Yeah, I've talked about the fact that this car has been remapped with anti-lag and launch control and all that, which I did myself, and I did it via this Tactrix open port, which is basically a thing that plugs into the onboard diagnostics OBD2 port. Other end is USB, goes into your laptop. It comes with a couple of, well, you have to pay extra for, but I paid for them, these jumper connectors which you need to plug in under the car, under the dashboard, to make it all make the ECU writable and so on. And yeah, using the software, which I will show you now, you can basically do everything. It is basically like a hacked in version of what they would use on the Group N rally cars, and because obviously for Group N rally and Group N's production it has to be fairly standard, so you've got to have that ability in the standard ECU, and this has. So this is the software you use, which is ROM Raider, and it's fucking brilliant. It basically allows you to change everything practically like an aftermarket ECU would. In fact, it's got a lot more functions than most aftermarket ECUs. And this is the anti-lag table, all the different things. This is actually gives you a choice of what OEM switch in the car you want the anti-lag to turn on with. I've got it on the defogger switch. This shows the ignition retard with anti-lag on, and it can go to minus 20 degrees, which is a fuck's sake more than a lot of aftermarket ECUs will. A lot of them only go to 0, so this allows pretty savage anti-lag. And you've got all the enable and disable, and it's got everything from alcohol injection, no lift shift, obviously your injector changing, literally everything. I mean, look, it's very, very good. Also, it's got brilliant data logging, where again you can literally log everything on the car, every sensor, look at it all, every sensor, everything you want, you can data log it so you know exactly what's going on. You've got things like this is for your MAF scaling, injector scaling, a dyno. So yeah, it is basically absolutely everything, and yeah, it's in essence a hack of what they would use to do the Group N rally cars, so it's damn good. That's another thing I didn't mention about this car, because of the anti-lag and all that. With the anti-lag switched on, it does sound fucking savage, not just the pops and bangs and all that of the anti-lag, but at idle, because it's running 20 degrees retarded and you know all that, what it does, and it's got the throttle kicked open I think 9% at all times, so what it does even with the anti-lag off, to allow it to idle, it runs rotational idle, which is where it cuts one cylinder at a time, so it runs on 3 cylinders all the time at idle, just switches which one, and it gives that savage sounding lumpy idle that you hear on rally cars basically, because they all do the same, and this is what this runs, so it's like bob 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 bob, and it's a totally smooth idle, as in the RPM don't jump around, and it doesn't stall, but it sounds fucking mental. The last thing to really talk about is, well, what I plan to do with this car. It was going to be with all what you saw, the bottom end, that P1 STI5, whatever you want to call it, bottom end, I was going to use those late spec WRX heads, you know, standard cams, all that, because that's perfectly fine. And I was going to aim for 350, 380 brake with lots of torque, quick response, using that whole set HE221 with the anti-lag, and be able to take loads of abuse, which I'm very, very confident my spec, what I was doing, was going to do that absolutely fine. It'd be brilliant. All I needed to buy was bigger injectors, which probably STI Pinks would have done it, and a better clutch and flywheel, and then get it remapped. And apart from that, I've got all the bits, as you've hopefully seen in this video. It's just a shame I've not done it. You know, if I could get someone to do it for me, I bet you a decent Subaru mechanic or whatever could do all this shit in the space of a week, if that, a few days. But I ain't got the time, so it's just never happened, which is why I'm on about selling it. But even doing this video has made me want to keep it, because it's reminded me how brilliant the spec of this car is. So I don't know, I don't really, you know, and it is great fun. I mean, the car's a weapon. It's absolute amazing fun. Even in the old spec, which was 260 brake, the new spec would be like 100 horsepower more than that, and it sounds mega, and it's, you know, very unexpected, being a rear wheel drive Subaru, and a rear wheel drive Subaru that doesn't break drive shafts every 5 seconds. So yeah, I'd love to keep it, but realistically I can't do all this myself. I've just not got the time. So unless someone can do it for me, this is gonna go, unfortunately. And yeah, I'm a bit gutted, especially after making this video, because it's reminded me how cool it is. But such is life. So yeah, I better go. So yeah, let me know, do some comments, do some likes, do some shares, do all that kind of crap, and yeah, we'll go from there. And yeah, any Subaru specialists want to put it all together for me, well, hit me up. Ta-da.